Boom. All right. All right. I know that get you pumped up a little bit.
Yeah, the dogs got pumped up too.
All right, Armen, I'm supposed to be adding you here on. I'm just waiting for you to join here, so I got to figure out how to do that. I don't even know how to do that.
I think I have to see that you're going live. I'm going to see if I can find you.
Live, all right. All right, we're waiting for you. We're waiting for you.
Is live.
Morning Chalk Up is live.
Can I? How
yeah, request to join.
Oh, there we go. Request.
You got to do one of those requests to join. Sorry, my hair is not good.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. View.
Request is sent.
Go live. All right. Well, look, Armen Hammer, thanks for joining me today. It is Wednesday. We are kind of exactly close to 48 hours before things start kicking off. Technically, I think things kick off tomorrow afternoon in Australia, in Sydney, because of the time shift here. We've got some new information. We've finally got a little bit of news here coming out about what athletes are going to be performing over the next couple of days. First reactions. What do you got?
All right. So here's what I'm thinking. In terms of the events, I think it is. It's really, really interesting that we've seen 4 out of 7 probably scored events based off of what Dave Castro put on his Instagram. We've seen 4 out of 7 of the events. 3 of them are under 3.5 minutes, under 4 minutes if you're being kind of gentle with Fran, and one of them is a 1 max squat. That is a quick and aggressive and power output friendly first 4 events for the CrossFit Games, and I think that is I think that's a little bit telling to what the next 3 events have to be. Like the next 3 events have to have something long, right? I mean, it has to, right? There has to be something over 10 minutes at least, right?
Yeah, probably. It's hard to program. I mean, I guess, it's hard to program something for, I know they're not programming specifically for an affiliate to do it, but the whole kind of one of the goals here is that, broadens access to the whole community here, but it's hard to program something, I suppose, that is going to take a games athlete 10 minutes and then also scaled appropriately would take you or I 10 minutes, which.
Arguably, and don't take this personally, but who cares how long it takes you and I to do these workouts?
It's not for us, technically.
Really, who cares? I mean, we can't really make a judgment because we don't know where all the workouts are, and I definitely don't want to jump the gun. I think, and I haven't quite finished my deep dive into the history of the games workouts, the starting games workouts, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time that this has ever happened in terms of this very, very similar time domains showing up. Yeah. So I think, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to think. It's a little surprising.
Well, what we do know so far, I'm going to go through starting with, let's see here. So let's start with the 3 and 4 because those are the ones I still happen to have in front of me. We've got Damn Diane, which is 3 rounds of 15 deadlifts and 15 strict deficit handstand push-ups. The weight for this is 205 for the women and 315 for the men, and that's going to be followed up by a 1,000-meter row, which is going to hurt a lot.
Yep. Yeah, they're going to burn. I mean, all these workouts are going to burn. That's for sure. They're all painful.
And then we've got Fran programmed at 115 pounds and 85 pounds for the women in chest to bar pull-ups. And accompanied with that is a 1 rep max front squat.
Yes.
So those are the first 4 workouts that we know so far. To kind of give people an understanding of how this is laying out, you're going to have a 3-hour window starting at 9 a.m. local time. So whatever time zone you are living in, 9 a.m. is when it kicks off. And you have until noon to finish those set of workouts. So 9 to noon is going to be workouts 1 and 2. And then I believe it is 3 to 6 on Friday, workouts 3 and 4. 9 to noon again on Saturday for the workouts that will get released later on today. And then it's 12 to 3.
Noon to 2, noon to 3, something like that.
Yeah. So a little bit quicker turnaround. But I think that given what Dave hinted on his Instagram yesterday, it looks like 7 scored events. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5, 6, and then it looks like in the 4th time slot there's only 1. So I don't know. Whatever that is should be interesting. Angry Annie. Awful Annie. Angry Annie, awful Annie. All the same. But we're getting the first window and first look here at the CrossFit Games, just taking a very different approach, than in recent years. And I'm sure that Dave has had to reprogram a number of workouts multiple times over the last couple of weeks as the games has kind of changed and dates have moved, et cetera. But this is it looks like a benchmark games.
Yeah, I'm not upset about it. I'm not pissed about it. I like seeing the benchmarks show up at the games. I like seeing those types of events. If I remember correctly, the 2012 CrossFit Games had a bunch of benchmarks as the final sets. On the team event, they had a whole relay style of all the events back to back to back. It was 6-person teams, so back to back to back on top of that. And then the final 3 events on the individual side of the competition were Elizabeth, and then Isabel, and then finally Fran. So finding, these very classic benchmarks that have shown up in every single one of our experiences and having those show up in terms of the competition, kind of elevated to the games level of competition, I think that shows a little bit of where those workouts can grow and how they can grow as benchmarks. It's really tough to tell without the whole picture whether everything that should be tested is being tested. But I can't assume that somehow over the past year, Dave Castro has lost his mind and doesn't know how to program a test for a complete test for the athletes. And I mean, there's no reason to quite go that far. I mean, if we get the next 3 events, and the next 3 events are Nasty Nancy is 3 rounds of a 200-meter run and 5 overhead squats, and the gymnastics thing is a max.
I think it's going to be 300 meters, just given what we know about the track right now. Right?
Exactly. So it's if those events are super short, if Annie is still a 6-minute workout, then really we might have a problem. But until we see what those workouts are, I mean, it's so difficult to tell.
Well, bringing back, one of my favorite workouts that I enjoyed watching way back in the day was 2013 was Jackie at regionals. The barrier of separation though between those was so tight, and I mean, almost too tight, as in there wasn't a large enough degree of separation between that. At 115, honestly, 115 in chest to bars, I don't really see a very big degree of separation between the top 10. I mean, I could see seconds coming here. Depends on who decides to send it, and I mean, Griffin Raleigh, for instance, as an example, he's a big dude, so you wouldn't expect him to go full ham. But, I mean, the guy does thrusters at 185 as if it is just a regular barbell that you and I would be using at 95. And I have watched him do thruster workouts in person and on video, and I'm like, the guy has good, solid gymnastics. From a chest bar perspective, every athlete will do this whole workout unbroken. There's no not athlete who will not do this unbroken. This is relatively straightforward for them. 45 thrusters at 115 pounds for the dudes and 85 for the women. I mean, CrossFit Games just posted, a throwback to the heavy, 17.5 that they did at the 2017 CrossFit Games. They had the big 100 barbells out there. What was the weight that they did for that? That was 135 pounds for the men, and it was 85 pounds for the women.
I think they actually messed it up. They did a 125 on the men's side, but yeah,
they messed it up on the women. Yeah, on the women's side they messed it up. On the men's they had it right. It was the women's that they misloaded the bar. They meant to do it at 95, which is what the men were programmed at the Open. Be it as it may, there were twice as many thrusters in that workout, and I don't know about every athlete, but a lot of the athletes, if not all the athletes, did that whole workout unbroken. So I really don't foresee this being a big of a challenge. But let's move beyond this workout here for a second. There's a couple questions that have come up, and so here's one. It's based on what we know about the workout so far. Who's more likely to be top 5 and who isn't, based on the first workouts that are released? Armen, I'm gonna let you go first on that.
I'm actually gonna do once we know what all the workouts are, I'm gonna redo my top 5 guesses. I think the obvious sort of tent poles of this aren't gonna change. Matt's gonna make it, Tia's gonna make it, Pat Velner's gonna make it. Sarah is gonna fight and probably make it. I mean, this only goes in her favor so far, what we've seen. The things that I would say might adjust it, Jeff Adler has a hell of a front squat. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, his legs are tree trunks. So squatting is not going to be a problem for that guy. And he's done really well in the open workouts that mimic these games workouts. So I don't know if I'm going to count him out. Adding in someone like Noah, I think these workouts that we see kind of help Noah, because he's exceptionally good at Diane. He's very, very good at thrusters and pull-ups. Yep. He's not the strongest guy, but I'd say the front squat probably favors him more than something like a back squat would. And potentially maybe like Laura Horvath. I mean, maybe if she's worked on her handstand push-ups. So she did really well with the open workout that had the handstand push-ups and the handstand walking. So maybe her handstand push-ups have improved to the point where this is in there, but everything other than the handstand push-ups absolutely goes in her favor so far.
Yeah, I think I'm just pulling this up here because I wanted to take a look at it and shuffle by it because it was kind of a big deal. And it pointed out to me. So, I mean, Laura Horvath took 5th to last in the handstand push-up workout at Rogue Invitational. And that was just strict handstand push-ups, no deficit or anything like that. I don't think, and I kind of wrote this in our live blog that's up on morningchalkup.com. I said, this doesn't kill her because it looks like there's 7 scored events. So yeah, you can have a bad one, but you're going to need to be really, really stinking good on all the other ones. And I could see this heavy Fran being okay. She moves weight extremely well. I could see her doing a very good job on the front squat. She's extremely strong. I think she's a great rower. So I could see that being fine. So, I mean, 3 of the 4, and you can have a bad workout. So this doesn't necessarily take her out, but it's definitely a workout I would have said she would have preferred not to have seen. Yeah. That I could say. I think you raise that deficit up, it becomes an even larger barrier. From what we've seen, I'm not super confident that she's overcome that, made that not only not into a weakness, but even into something where she's just passing through with it and is like okay with it. One athlete that does stick out, I already mentioned his name, and that's Griffin Raleigh. And one of the reasons is this guy is stupid strong. I kid you not. Like watching, I mean, he was doing an EMOM in snatch 315. Like he was doing a Metcon the other day and repping out 405 deadlifts. He does. I've watched him crank out parallel handstand push-ups. So I'm looking at this guy going, he moves weight extremely well. Clearly, Diane, he's like, money, all day. Like it, all day. I like it, especially the deadlift part. I mean, it's just going to be for him child's weight. He was doing like sets of 12 at 405, and then going and doing something else. And
8.5 feet tall, so rowing is going to be so easy for him.
Rowing, you put this guy on a machine and his high power output. So I don't see Fran being a big problem. I'm not pegging him for the top 5, but with the thruster weight being at only 115, I feel like he's gonna have a really strong showing. The front squat, I feel like he's gonna have a very strong showing. Also, a guy like Tyler Christoffel, a very strong showing in that, extremely strong.
Don't sleep on Scott Tetlow, by the way. Tetlow, okay. He's a shorter guy. He's a lighter guy, but I was looking at his old open scores, and he is very good at thrusters and pull-ups, and he is very good at deadlifts and handstand push-ups. Like those are just 2 of his best open performances historically. So, I think that's a guy that's gonna do pretty well. He might suffer a little bit on the max front squat. He's strong, but I don't know how it's going to translate over for his front squat. And height might be an issue when it comes to the rower, but maybe not. I mean, Matt Fraser proved that wrong a long time ago. So, could also prove that wrong.
One of the questions that's kind of popped up here is, can athletes release footage of workouts after scored? Will we see any action? The answer to that is yes. So, athletes themselves are, the way things are kind of being set up, just setting the scene and describing it a little bit, is they're going to have a judge on scene there working, physically judging the athlete's performance. And that's going to be what the score is reflective of that judge's. And that's not like your buddy is coming here. It's not like Armen's judging me. It's like assigned by CrossFit to physically go there and be an impartial judge to ensure the integrity of the reps in that workout. It is also being filmed, and that film stuff will be released at some point. I think we're going to get access to it as media, but I'm not sure if it's just getting dumped into, I'm not exactly 100% sure on that, but I know that there's going to be footage left that's out there. As I've been told that by CrossFit, and so that much I can say is definitely going to be happening. And then CrossFit is also going to be releasing some highlight reels and components and stuff afterwards and stuff. So I imagine things like the top workout and the biggest lift, the top workout or top time or most reps or whatever. That stuff will probably get released in full by CrossFit, I imagine, afterwards, or if we get a handle on it, we will be releasing it. But the way the scoring works is nobody is going to be releasing any scores, ourselves included, until after HQ has verified the score and the leaderboard is set. There are no repeats of workouts. You can't do this 6 times in the 3-hour time frame. You just have to do it exactly when you do it, and then after that, you are that you're done. You're one and done for all these workouts. And then once the leaderboard is set, they are going to release that after stage 1. No, not whatever, stage 1.
Like block 1 or whatever the time
block is. 1. So block 1, boom. Leaderboard is set. We'll know for those 2 events where everybody shakes out. And then after that, we're going to go on to the next block. And then once that's set, then everybody can talk about the scores. We can come and we can say, how amazing Patrick Fellner is.
Very amazing is the short answer to that. But I suspect, while the athletes have the ability to release their scores if they really wanted to, I don't think we're going to be seeing them publish anything until after the blocks are complete.
Probably not. I mean, we as media are not going to be breaking any embargoes when it comes to those kinds of things, but they may tell us. But they're not. The intention here is not to be able to give an unfair advantage to anybody else who hasn't done the workout yet, to allow them to benchmark against another athlete. So, do I think that they will be sharing workout scores among themselves? Yes, I do. But they are, a lot of them are friends, and a lot of them hang out often together, and so they know each other. Some are coached by the same coach or managed by the same manager. So I imagine some scores will be getting shared, but it's their score, so they're certainly welcome to do whatever they want.
Be a fly on the wall of those like WhatsApp groups or text message groups would be worth so much money. Like you could auction that off for charity for a weekend.
You could. I'd jump on that opportunity. I could assure you of that. Another question that's come up, Armen, maybe you know the answer to this, is about scoring. How these workouts are going to be scored.
So I don't know the answer to this. I actually someone asked on my Instagram as well whether how the scoring is going to be done and whether the scores will carry over into the final 5. And I don't know the answer to either of those. They haven't released, as far as I can tell, a points-based ranking system yet. They haven't released any sort of clarity into their intentions on whether they're going to do a rank-based system or a point-based system. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to handle it. Do you know?
I don't actually know the answer. That's why I tossed it to you. But I'm going to guess here, and I'm going to look at this kind of like a regional system. 7 events, a 30-person point scale from top to bottom. From starting with 100 and on down. That's my guess, and it would seem a little uncommon for them to move beyond that. With a workout or with 7 workouts to do a bottom-up point scale seems a little odd. Mm-hmm. Catch-ups and penalties for doing back for poor performers, it doesn't seem in keeping with the live competition mentality, I would guess, and I'm pretty sure we have a copy of a 30-point athlete form, or a 30 athlete 100 on down point format that they've used in the past. That would be my
one of the 2018 regionals was a 30-person region,
probably,
if I remember correctly. One of them was a small one, was a 31. I can't remember, but yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it makes sense, but I think the more, I mean, I don't want to say important, but to me, more interesting question is, what do you do in the transition? You know, I think we saw that there was really deep flaws in the scoring when they cut to 10 last year, like hugely flawed. And so what happens when you get to 5?
Yeah, that's a great question. Not one that I think we can get too deeply in here, but because I haven't even thought about it. But yeah, when you get down to 5,
they don't even know.
Yeah, they don't know. 5's never been done before. So, no. I mean, they've done 10, sure. But, you know, some things, and we can leave it at this, but some things that come into factor here is you can't over-reward or under-reward or over-penalize performances. So, you know, if you're going to do from 0 to 100 in a sliding point scale, and, you know, everybody gets a knock 20, well, you know, at some point, thankfully it's starting from 0. Probably. I mean, I'm almost certain it's going to start from 0. There's some, yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I have no idea. Maybe. Who knows? Actually, I had someone ask this question. I'm 100% positive it's been asked on your Instagram and comments on Facebook and all over the place. Is do you think that this is an asterisk year? Like, you know, the question has been phrased a bunch of different ways. Is the repeat win for Fraser Toomey any less historic? Is this an asterisk year? What do you think about the format? How does it change things? Like, what do you think, man?
I'm really weighing that one. I have seen that question come up, and I think originally when as a team we were talking about it and saying, yeah, this is definitely going to be an asterisk year. But when you get closer to the live competition, you start thinking about, look, I mean, at this stage in the game, everybody's pretty much on an even playing field. And I think that if Fraser and Tia don't win, for whatever reason, the final competition, if they don't win, and I think a lot of people expect them to win, given their performance this year already and their past performances, then all of a sudden the asterisk thing becomes out even bigger now. If they do win, I feel like, look, man, it's hard to deny that those two are not the fittest people on earth. I mean, Tia, by example, competed at Rogue in an online format, and she crushed everybody. I mean, you know, and like I look at that and I go, well, I mean, it's about as fair as you can make it. Everyone's competing in their own time zones, not in the middle of the night. You know, they don't have to wake up at odd hours. Equipment, by and large, I mean, they all work out of gyms, for crying out loud. So they got to have a good barbell. If they don't have access to a good barbell, then I will buy a barbell and send it to them.
It doesn't matter. A good barbell, you're doing a max front squat, you could use like a non-rotating, like, you know, janky bar.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it does in the feel and the mental capacity. I mean, there's a lot on the line here, but does it make that big of a difference? Not really. I mean, it doesn't really. I mean, they're not dropping the barbell, so having competition plates is kind of irrelevant. Right. So, you know, and on the Fran, they're going to do 21 and they're going to drop it and come back. So it's not like they're doing, you know, singles.
Yeah, it's hard to make an estimate.
I don't know. Right now. I'd say no. I don't put an asterisk on it anymore. I was thinking that there probably would be, but and the reason why, and here's the reason why. Now that I'm thinking about, I'm actually talking about this. Now I'm rambling on, but now that I'm actually talking about it, I'm getting
with me.
I'm getting some clarity of mind here, and the reason why I would say it's not an asterisk is because athletes aren't not able to show up to Aromas because of travel exemptions. If you have athletes like having, I mean, a really hard time getting there or coming there 2 or 3 days before the competition starts because of this reason or that reason, or they can't get there, or there's whatever it is, if those are the cases that we were dealing with and you're going to have 30 athletes descending on Aromas and that's the case, or some of them can't even come, and so now you're really not competing against the best. you're really competing against like the second or third rung down the ladder, then yeah, I'm going to give it a little bit of an asterisk there, because it does matter who people are competing against. It does matter if you know, a strength event shows up and all the strong people aren't there, or
Right.
the people who traditionally perform or outperform a Frazier aren't there and aren't competing next to him. So yeah, in this instance, everybody's here, everyone's competing. Top 20 plus the sanctionals winners. If you make it through this, yeah, you're the fittest.
I think that's fair. I mean, that's kind of where my mind's at. I was considering it in terms of who's showing up. You know, when we were looking at the games being an in-person competition exclusively and taking place in NorCal, and they were cutting down the field and they were getting rid of divisions, and you know, there was going to be travel restrictions, having issues with having athletes actually make it into the States to compete at that point. And on top of that, there was a bunch of athletes that were making protests and stands and saying, you know what, we're just not going to participate this year because it doesn't align with our beliefs. Like, that absolutely deserves an asterisk here. You know, if you have to go next man up and just keep calling up people, you know, we are tens of thousands of people dropping out away from being CrossFit Games athletes, J-Lo. So, you know, if that's the ladder that we're going to be like slowly descending down, that's a pretty quick and steep descent into not the best in the world competing. Yeah. So the fact that we have that now, it's online, it's about as level of a playing field as you can put together.
I agree.
You know, you have the final 5 coming in person to compete. I think it's going to be difficult to make an argument that this year for some reason doesn't count.
No, yeah. I think it's important. I think I put that to bed, honestly, at this point. It really isn't. You know, it's funny because like winners win, shooters shoot, whatever like, you know, sort of cliche phrase you want to put out there. It's like, you know, Matt Frazier doesn't need this or this to go wreck face.
No.
He's just gonna do it. He's gonna show up. He's gonna put in the work, and he's gonna prove that no matter what test you throw at him, whether it's remote or in person, does he need a cheering crowd? No. You know, granted, some athletes perform a lot better in a live environment. Some, you know, like Matt likes to work out by himself. Like, he trains alone, and that's his style. Like, he probably wouldn't enjoy it as much if there were 150 people screaming around him. Perhaps I don't know, but
I asked. So I've been talking to a few of the athletes, as I know you have as well. This idea that, you know, some of the athletes are getting together to have their little parties and their little exercise fun times with one another. And I was asking, I was like, how are you deciding who's going first? Because whoever's going second has a huge advantage. Like, are you guys just playing, you know, rock, paper, scissors before every block? Like, how are you going to handle this? And you know, I got a few different answers. I know like Noah and Chandler and Travis Mayer are all doing it together in North Atlanta with Training Think Tank. And they're talking about, you know, they're just going to randomize it at first and do a rotation over the first few, and then the last block, whatever the last workout is, whoever has the best chance of making it to the final 5 is going to go last, which makes total sense. But with Matt and Tia, who generally train together and who absolutely both of them are just like ready to dominate the field, do they just alternate? Like, how do they, or are they just going to go to separate places and do them at the same time and not come out? Like, I honestly can't, I don't know.
I couldn't speculate. I do know there's a number of pockets of athletes who are doing this workout together, or doing it in the same location. And I don't know exactly on the timing frame, but I mean, there's a number of ones that are out there. I mean, I suspect it's, I don't know, solid 25 or 30% of the field. And there's also going to be a whole host of games hopefuls or folks who got cut that are probably going to be doing this in their home gyms as well, just as a way of benchmarking and testing them against one another. Armen, I'm going to give this one to you. I know you need to answer this. Is why isn't there a stream?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's going to be really difficult to watch the workouts when they're happening at completely different times around the world. And I think that really is imagine, think of it this way, right? You can organize or coordinate across a couple of different lines, but by doing so, you are necessarily excluding other options, right? So you look at the Rogue format, the Rogue Invitational, they decided to organize along a synchronous competition so they could broadcast it all. Everyone does the workouts all at the same time, all coordinated.
Including 2 in the morning.
Including 2 in the morning for Saunders, who's out there in Australia. So it's, regardless of where you're at, it's all happening at the same time universally. The CrossFit Games has decided to do an asynchronous competition because it's thanks, buddy. It gives a little bit of a more of a level playing field. So you sacrifice the ability to do any sort of live coverage or broadcast of the event itself, but the athletes gain a little bit in terms of having the opportunity to work within their own comfort and time.
Yep, pretty succinctly. And the other reason here is they're trying not to give an unfair advantage to athletes who are performing in the West. This is, and the unfair advantage to throw out here is that if it were live streamed, then and I'm competing in Sydney, then I don't have a choice as to whether or not athletes in the West know, or West being United States, sorry, which is East.
Western civilization athletes, is that what you're saying?
U.S. North American-based athletes would know where those scores are, and East Coast-based athletes would know where the West Coast athlete scores are from the United States, and so on, and the cascading effect. And so basically he or she goes last will know how everybody else is performing and how much harder they either need to go or they could not go quite as hard but still perform pretty well. Gives an unfair advantage to groups of competitors. Now, if you can make them compete all at the same time, then they have to do it at the same time, no matter what time they're in, which is unfair for a lot of reasons. So there you go. For those who are wondering, that is the reason why. And really, yes, technologically, could they have done something similar to Rogue? Yes, but they would have required them to ask athletes to fight for a chance to go to the CrossFit Games by competing in the middle of the night. Which,
I think the decision that they made is a good decision. It sucks that we're sort of sacrificing a live feed and a live stream and a live competition, but we'll get one in October with the Final 5. So that's not going to be
it's called the Live 5. Actually,
I don't know, man. Final 5. Do I want rhyming or do I want alliteration? I think I want alliteration. I'm gonna go with Final 5.
I like live. Fine, I'll have my live 5. You have your Final 5. Dusty asked if you get to watch them completely all together or in an organized way, or just recaps and watch individual submissions. It's recaps and individual submissions. There's not going to be some synchronous production put out. Not to our knowledge, nothing has been told to us. And what we've been told is kind of the opposite of that, which is, yes, some of these workouts are going to be made available for the broader community to be able to watch. And, you can, look for your favorite athlete if you want to go watch them. They're not going to be hi-fi, though. I mean, this is typical of what you're going to see from an open workout where somebody's going in and filming that with their phone or another camera. So not, the cool, sexy angles and stuff and the mobile view that's coming around, you're not going to see a lot of that stuff. So it's still going to be a little bit light on the viewing experience, but, if it's your favorite athlete, you're not going to mind. So, what are you going to do?
I mean, what we're going to do is exactly what can be expected. We're just going to watch recaps. We're going to watch recaps and we're going to watch cell phone footage of people doing thrusters.
Yeah. Well, luckily you won't have to wait very long for the workout to end.
Oh, someone's asking, can the workouts be done in any order as we know so far? Yeah, it seems like it. It seems like as long as you're doing those workouts that are assigned to each block in that block, it doesn't matter what order you do it in. So as long as you're doing the Fran and the front squat in that first time block, it doesn't matter whether you do Fran first or the front squat first. And
we don't know that for sure, but we know that it hasn't been stated in the public release that they have. Though I do have that question out to CrossFit because it is kind of a big deal.
It seems like an important question to ask.
And they, CrossFit has been having regular Zoom and phone call communication with coaches and athletes. So this one is, in fact, I know it has. This one's come up already. So I just don't know what the answer was, and I just forgot to ask what the answer is. So I sent a note in today because it does matter. It really does matter. And we can't tell you because we don't know the answer to it. So we can tell you for sure that it hasn't been stated in their public document release that they have to do event 1 first and then event 2 second. But you do have to do those events in that time frame.
We are getting a couple people on Instagram telling us that they have to be done in particular order and that they put it somewhere on the CrossFit Games site.
Okay, well,
there you go. Question answered. It has to be done in that order.
I will endeavor to lock that one down after this. Whatever. Some people are saying I say that. Yeah. Okay. Here. Yep. Okay. So the judge said in order. Okay. So it seems like there's a common consensus that has to be done in order, which makes sense, by the way.
It does. But someone actually brought up a really good point, which is if you didn't have to do them in order, they wouldn't be numbered.
You have to score somehow.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Organization. Anyways.
But there you go. There you go, folks. You gotta do them in order.
Hey, Armen, you need to turn the volume down on your phone so there's no more echo.
Dude, it's as low as it goes. It's not getting any lower.
Okay. All right. Well, they don't like you. They're saying you're echoey.
Echo.
Yeah. All right. What are the questions we have? What are the most? There's a lot of common questions.
Justin, I think the biggest question we need to answer right now is what's the workout we're going to be doing tomorrow? I submit front squat.
That's silly.
Because I'm going to do it in 20 minutes. We'll hang out. We'll have a good time. We can eat and drink and do whatever we want during that 20 minutes.
I would prefer that not to be the case. And we can't do 2 because if we do 2, then we're going to have to do 3 because if we pick 2, I'm going to win 1 and you're going to win 1. It'd be like doing the row workout and then you win the squat workout.
Yeah. I'm not doing 2 or 3. We're picking 1.
I know, that's why it has to be I'm not doing a 1 rep max front squat. That's ridiculous.
Come on. It's easy. It's so much fun.
You're going to out squat me about like 40 or 50 pounds.
I'll overhead squat. I don't know. Well, actually, I don't know if I have a room to overhead squat.
You really want to go overhead squat a battle against my front squat, though?
How weak are your legs right now? That's the question we got to ask.
Okay, so no matter what, I'm going to be able to put up at least 200 pounds, which is my body weight.
Dude, okay, so you don't want a front squat. I can't do Fran unless you want to do it strict because I can't do pull-ups without having to do them strict in my house. So what's it going to be? I'm not rowing a 1K right now.
Can you do strict deficit handstand push-ups?
Dude, you know what we should do? All right, here it is. We should just do regular Annie. Double unders and sit-ups and just get it over with.
You just don't want to hurt.
No, I don't.
And that's why you're picking front squat in regular Annie.
I definitely don't.
The whole point of this is to take one of these games workouts and experience it together and suffer as a community.
Dude, I'm going to have to scale it regardless of what it is. So, what do you want to see? Do you want to see me struggle to do strict handstand push-ups for 20 minutes? Or do you want to see me front squat a reasonable weight? I don't know.
I want to see you struggle through strict handstand push-ups because I know you'll beat me on the deadlift. But then I'll just do.
Yeah, you'll smash me on those strict handstand push-ups.
I won't do them in big. I'll just do them in like 3s. I'll just keep it conservative,
All right, potentially Diane, with some scaling involved. Potentially Diane.
All right. Let's see if we got a bunch of questions jumping in here. Do all the accounts with no breaks in between? Yeah, right.
On the women's side, a couple athletes that I was thinking about, by the way, while I was looking at the events and their sort of like open cousins. I think so far, all of these events say maybe except for the front squat, do really well for Kristin Holta. Her elbow, granted, she had surgery on it, but that was like at this point 15 years ago, or wrist, yeah. That was like, was that 15 years ago or 35 years ago? Like, who knows? It might as well have been. It was like last December.
It's after the Open.
So I think that works in her favor. Kristin Holta is really good at all of these things so far. Jamie Green is another athlete that was like a ringer for me. Not necessarily made it into my top 5, but was a ringer for me. I think she's really good at all of these events as well.
Don't forget Sam Briggs.
Dude, Sam, outside of that front squat, Sam has got all of these workouts in the bag.
I mean, I'm putting her name on the row. Top 3.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I can't wait to watch her row 1K faster than me.
Oh, I'm a pretty decent rower, but I mean, there's no point.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see. I think at this point, we have another hour and change before the next event announcements occur. Hopefully, it's the remaining set of events.
Hopefully.
We know that it's a Nancy, running overhead squats. We know there's.
I really like, by the way, I actually am a fan of Nancy as a workout because I'm a good runner, and the weight for the overhead squats is not heavy enough to be. It's more like a lactic burn more than it is like I can't finish the reps and I got to drop the barbell. Obviously, the weight I'm assuming is going to go up to some component, and I imagine it's going to be 300 meters since that's what they've been told. They need to have a track of 300 meters. Maybe it's 600 meters, 300 out, 300 back, maybe a little longer. I
would say, okay, so Nancy has a special place in my heart. And this is of something I produced and never published because the format of the CrossFit Games kept changing so much, and I was going to push it off to after this online version's done. But one of the workouts that I think would be perfect at the ranch is a variation of Naughty Nancy, a new updated version of Nancy. Lots of running, lots of hills out there, heavy overhead squats, high volume. It just functions really well. In fact, one of the workouts I programmed for my version of this online thing had running and overhead squats in it. So I like that combination a ton. I would imagine Nasty Nancy is probably more running and more overhead squats, maybe lighter.
That would be nastier.
Yeah.
As I think it was Matt Frazier who noted in the 16 or 17 games documentary, when he was, going back to the vote over whether it was DT or double TT, he's like, double, heavy DT.
Yeah.
He's like, don't do double. We have to do twice the amount of reps. It always hurts more. And it's like, especially if you could do the weight, and these guys and girls can do the weight. I don't do heavy DT because then I just don't do anything the whole time, But double TT, for me, if I drop the weight to like 95 or like 105 or something, I would be like broken.
Oh yeah.
And trying to do that in 10 minutes, twice the amount of reps, and you're like, holy moly, like that, like if you had to do 30 squats per round
and run
600 meters
every round, yeah, that adds up. That adds up. What do you think would be a gymnastics test?
We kind of be cliche to do the 30 muscle-ups for time, I suppose, because they've already done it, and I think bringing that one back. No, they don't have rings. That's right. I forgot.
They don't have rings, and they'll have already done a bunch of pull-ups and a bunch of pulling in general.
I don't know. That's a good question. Honestly,
I thought they'd bring back the L-sit. I mean, if they're doing deficit and they didn't require any sort of parallettes, which means they're doing the deficit using, I don't know, plates or something. So you can set up plates to do an L-sit, and I think L-sit would be a cool little callback, or I was gonna say maybe like a weighted pull-up, but they've done a bunch of pull-ups the day before.
Well, it doesn't necessarily, so it doesn't have to be, just like a single movement. 30 muscle-ups for time would have made sense, but they did it in the standard. They did it as a single workout the year before at the games. Both cool. They could bring it back. They could do bar muscle-ups, and that would definitely be unbroken. The thing is that, it's like if all the workouts are being done unbroken, then the degree of separation between athlete performances is just minor.
Correct.
And it's almost kind of like, okay, so like it's seven people finish within 5 seconds of each other. I mean, I guess every second counts, but it just, you kind of get to the point, like every athlete there can do 30 bar muscle-ups unbroken. Maybe some of the ladies can't. No, they can all do it.
I don't know, man. And the reason why I say I don't know is that a few years ago, I was hanging out with Jacob Hepner, this was a few years ago. So this was he was still incredibly fit, but it was during the years that he hadn't made it to the games. Like 1 year he had that knee injury, and 1 year it was the handstand push-up standard.
Yeah.
And he did like a set of 30 bar muscle ups. And he was like, man, that's the first time I've ever done that. Like, that's a PR for me. Wow, that's really impressive. And this was like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
was like 3 years ago.
I'm just saying, like, maybe not everybody is catching up to like 2013 Rich Froning in terms of bar muscle ups.
I saw Matilda Garnes do 52 unbroken bar muscle ups. She qualified with her team in the Norwegian CrossFit Championship to go to the games for the first time. She's the second fittest woman in Norway, Kristin Holta. I think everybody can do 30 unbroken bar muscle ups.
I'd hope so. That's pretty good.
I saw Carroll 2 years ago. I was filmed him do 34 in the middle of a workout. Then he went and did another 16.
Yeah, so then 30 bar muscle ups for time is not a good test.
Maybe handstand walking.
Maybe the distance isn't for running. Maybe the distance is for handstand walking.
I don't know. I think we're getting. I think our predictions are getting wild at this point. There's no reason it can't be more than one movement. We just know it doesn't. It could be gymnastic focus. It could be. It could be It could be another metcon. Honestly, sure. It could be that, and it's toes to bar and bar muscle ups and handstand walking. I know I'm being silly here, but there's no reason it has to be just one movement. It doesn't have to be monostructural.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. That makes sense.
Boy, whatever you're doing after Nancy, though.
I think it's going to be L-sit, dude. I'm going to go with L-sit.
All right, L-sit. Harkening it back, throwing it back to the old school days.
Yeah, throw it back to old school.
That's why they need the measuring tape.
It just feels so thematic. Like the entire programming so far feels so thematic. It's benchmarks, it's classic tests. So why not throw in the L-sit in there?
Somebody here suggested that we should just do the regular versions of these workouts instead of the crazy ones.
A regular Diane and the heavy strict Diane is going to take me the same amount of time. That's
Are you is it the handstand push-ups?
Yeah.
It's clearly not the deadlift. You're a strong guy. You can
I have a personal problem, and it's handstand push-up. But yeah, sure, I'll do regular Diane. Why not?
I think we should do Frank.
Dude, I don't have anywhere to do pull-ups in my home. And
borrow a rig.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Actually, outside of my home in Austin, Texas, all pull-up rigs have been melted to make...
Is it hot?
I don't know. It was like part of the war effort against the heat. Everyone melted their own rigs. So we no longer have any rigs for me to do pull-ups anywhere. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Unverified, buddy. Unverified. Well, cool. If you guys have any other questions, we're going to keep chatting here for a few minutes. But if you guys have any other questions, just put it in the comments. We'll get to it. Quick recap. Events 1, 2, 3, and 4 have been released. Apparently, they have to be done in order. Workouts 1 and 2 will be done in the first time slot of the day. Events 3 and 4 have to be done in the second time slot of the day. There are no repeats. One and done. They will be judged live by a CrossFit-appointed in-person judge that is not your best friend or buddy. And once each time slot's workouts are completed, the leaderboard will update and the scores will be live. And then people like Armen and I can come and talk about what it means.
And we will.
And we'll do some math. Armen and I are also going to be going head-to-head tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Armen is in boiling hot Austin, and I am in burning down California.
By the time tomorrow rolls by, I mean, Hurricane Sally is supposed to be like destroying the Gulf.
Hurricanes. I have, air quality warnings that suggest I should not be going outside.
Wonder at Max front squat.
No way, dude. No way. Not happening. We're doing a real workout. I need a workout. Because
that is rude. Front squats are real workouts.
I have gained what is now referred to as the CrossFit Games 15.
You gained an actual COVID-19.
Oh yeah.
You put on a real COVID-19.
Oh yeah. Oh Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Absolutely.
I have done more than 19 pounds to my body weight since COVID started. That's a fact.
Hell yeah. Good work, buddy.
And I can still do handstand push-ups, bro.
I don't know.
Hey, are there going to be any burpees? Box jumps? You think
boxes weren't on the box? A box was not on the list.
Funny thing is, I released that.
Show up.
I don't remember what was on it.
Burpees could show up. Pistols could show up. I don't know. What else do you see that requires like no equipment?
Handstand walking.
Yeah.
That doesn't. They have a pull-up bar, so bar muscle-ups could be there. Toes to bar could be there. Those are all options. GHD machine. With Annie being on the list and GHD machine being required, I'd be really shocked if that didn't show up. But they can throw some decoy things out there. But the fact that Annie's already been named, it just kind of makes it kind of silly. At that point, are they going to ab bat sit-ups, toes to bar? Toes to bar would be bad.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Nick Fowler is mentioning that a body weight scale was listed in the equipment list. I know that they mentioned that's the tie break for the front squat. So the lighter athlete.
Is that out there? Is that public?
Yeah, they put that on the event's description.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay. All right.
I don't know where else they could use it, but it's an interesting piece of information. There you go. I know that's how they're going to score that at the very least. We know that that's going to be a tiebreaker. Okay,
fair enough. So there's a tiebreaker for the bodyweight scale. I wonder what the tiebreaker is going to be on the time. Fran is going to be. I feel like you're going to have a lot of people finishing in a similar time frame on Fran. I really do.
Maybe. I was thinking about this. I went back and I watched 19.5. Matt and Tia going head to head in 19.5 because the first 2 rounds of 19.5 is basically this workout. Because this workout is 3 rounds of 21 and 21, and that workout, the first 2 rounds is 60 reps. So it's about the same. It's a little bit shy. Instead of 63, it's 60 reps, but whatever, close enough. And it's lighter. But assuming that they're fitter now than they were in March of 2019,
probably
the weight isn't going to make that big of a difference. It's going to make it hurt more, but I don't think it's going to slow them down very much. And they both broke up their sets of thrusters. Granted, they were doing 33 in the first set.
Weight though on it.
What's that?
Yeah, you're talking about 19.5?
Yeah, 19.5. The thruster, the one that was like the one that you and I did in Ireland.
Well, but it was 30, right?
Yeah, 33 was the first set. So
okay,
they break it up, right?
33 versus 21. It's 21.59, which is only 45 thrusters. You do 33, which is only 12 less than the total amount of Fran.
Well, check this out. I just saw another video from Noah like 2 weeks ago, maybe last week, where he did a 3-minute AMRAP of chest to bar Fran with just 95 pounds. 3-minute AMRAP of chest to bar Fran, and he got like 13 reps into the thrusters on a set of 21 on his second Fran.
Okay.
So I think these are the comparisons where I don't know if the exact...
That's a sub 3-minute chest to bar Fran, and I don't think the 95 to 115 makes...
It's not going to make a difference.
It's not heavy enough to make... For these athletes, 95 and 115, it's like 95 to them is what I do with an empty barbell.
Right. And so I really think that this is going to be a workout that happens in like the 4-minute range, 3 to 4 minute range. On the fast end, maybe seeing someone touch 3 minutes. But that would be pretty ridiculous. That'd be pretty ridiculous.
I could see this happening. I really feel like you're going to see it. I think your winners are going to be like 245, 250.
That would be out of control.
There's some out of control people. Sort of your mid-range sized athletes are not going to be deterred enough by the weight. Like I look at a Holta and I go, yeah, I wouldn't originally pick her for a 135 pound barbell, 135.95. But at 85 and 115, and I'm like, dude, she's going to demolish those chest to bar pull-ups. She's got like 50 unbroken. Her set. I mean, so good at that upper level gymnastics element, and the weight's not that heavy. It's not that much heavier than what they already do. They've been doing heavy thrusters for like 3 seasons now. Like, they don't show up to competitions to do thrusters at 95, 65 anymore. It's just not even like a thing for them.
It's like doing wall ball with a 20-pound ball. It's just not in their repertoire. There's no reason for them to ever do it.
It's like you're going to use a 30 or you're going to use a 20 for the ladies, or maybe heavier with the weight vest. So I just don't feel like it's heavy enough. I really, honestly, I'm estimating that you're going to have an athlete. You're going to have clusters of athletes finishing in the same time frame. Like, I could see it happening. There's going to be one sort of make or break segment where it's going to be really tight, and I could see it happening. Anyways, I'm just Anyways, Oh, somebody asked here what's happening during tomorrow's pre-event at 3:30. So the CrossFit Games is going to be going live with a pre-show. Basically, they're going to talk about a lot of things that I think we're talking about here. I think they're going to do. I imagine that they've done a little bit of interviews with some athletes as they have video crews in about 20 different locations around the world, and so they'll be running in a pre-show and talking about what to expect and how your affiliate can get involved and scaling options and doing some interviews and integrating that content, and then talking about how the format is and probably answering some of the questions that we don't even have answers to right now. That's what's happening at 3:30. So there's not going to be any live competition footage, but I believe at about 3:00 tomorrow is 9 a.m. in Sydney.
Yeah, so they're starting off. They're going to be starting the workouts right around when that live show goes off, right? Con and
Harriet, Con, Car Saunders, Jay Crouch, Baden Brown, Laura Clifton,
Ricky Garrard in his gym. Did you see he posted on his Instagram that he was going to be doing the workouts? He's really excited. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Ricky Garrard does. He's going to post all of his scores.
Yeah, he will. Yeah, he'll post them. All right, hold on. To get a definitive answer to this question, 3 p.m. Pacific, so 4 p.m. Pacific time is 9 a.m. AEST. That stands for Australia Eastern Standard Time. So at 4 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow, Australia kicks off. Australia and New Zealand kick off. And so there's about, 6 athletes total, 5 athletes total that are living together. I think it's 5. Big name. One of big name is Car Saunders, who, has had a tremendous season so far. The legend herself, only 4 months after giving birth to her young baby girl, Scotty, qualified, I think, getting 10th or 12th or 16th worldwide in the Open, an absurd feat of performance, then went on to win Australian CrossFit Championship, and then she placed third, a very close third behind Sarah Sigmundsson at the Rogue Invitational, meanwhile, while she's competing in the middle of the night and taking care of her baby and still doing amazing things. I think she even recently set a new back squat PR. I think she set a Grace PR.
I'm so pumped to see her compete, dude. She's up there for me right now.
She's doing touch and go snatches at 165, better than I've ever in my life. And she started a new company, Active Eyewear, and it's a really cool company. And she even sent me some sunglasses I have here, and I love them. I wear them all the time. And she's got a lot of stuff going on, but she's still clearly crushing life. Regularly, and she's one of the ones I'm most excited about seeing. And I do have her picked and pegged on my list of people that's going to make top 5.
Same.
Especially knowing what we have now, honestly, like I still feel great about her.
Oh yeah, I'm more confident than ever that she's going to make it.
Yeah. Get this. Here's a fun fact for you. I just realized this the other day when we were working on Tia Toomey's segment. It just aired, an hour or so, 2 hours ago on our YouTube channel, which is Tia Toomey, get this, has not lost a live competition since 2017 regionals, where she took second place to Cara Saunders, then Cara Webb.
That's awesome. That's great. I mean, what else is there to say about how dominant Tia's been?
And since we're on the subject of Tia and dominance here, I was, going through these old clips and media footage and stuff, and I was rewatching her Rogue clean and jerk, and I was also rewatching her clean from the games last year, and I think it was 265 that she cleaned at the games. Or is it 260?
2018, you mean?
2019 games, the clean event between her and Amanda Barnhart when they were going back to back. When they were going,
Tia. Yeah, 265. Yeah,
265. Okay, I rewatched this and rewatched this and rewatched this, and this is 265, and I'm like, man, dude, it looked so good. It was so clean. And the one she hit 270 was a clean and jerk, not to mention the other clean and jerk she did every 5 pounds since 190. And it was easier.
Yeah. I heard a little birdie tell me that they were prepared to go up to 300 pounds if they needed to. And that made my brain explode, dude. 300 pounds? Are you kidding me?
To be clear, if it wasn't an official sanctioned event because they dropped their sanctioning to still conduct the event because they couldn't conduct the sanctional online any longer, but this would have been the heaviest clean and jerk of any female athlete in CrossFit Games history.
Yep.
Had that been the case. And
it's
unfortunately
it happens to come from the fittest person.
But what's more bamf about the whole thing is that she didn't even need to do it. I don't know if everybody knows this story because I think it was kind of underreported. She had already won the event. Like, you have to understand this. Like, this is like Jordan, like, dunking at the end of the game, like, from half court and he's already beaten you by like 20 points. And he just kind of like goes, like, clock's winding down, everybody in junk time is just kind of there dribbling the basketball at half court, going, oh, good job, buddy. Yeah, we'll get you next time. Okay, cool. Sounds good. But Jordan's like straight up like going down and tomahawks it, right? That's the same thing. She already won the event. She beat Laura Horvath. She was the only one to clean 265. Laura hit both of the athletes hit 260. Tia hit 265. Laura did not hit 265. So Tia has won. Congratulations, Tia. And you sit here and watch the live stream again. You're like, she's kind of like arguing with the person who's like, do I need to go? Do I not need to go? And then she's kind of like straps on some plates. And it's clear at this point. Her judges told her, you're good. You're good. And she's like, no, I'm not.
Like, I've got to make sure. I am putting a period at the end of this sentence right now. Yeah, Tia's incredible. I'm very excited, and that's one of the reasons why I'm very interested to see what happens with the Final Five. Is this idea of bringing people together who are the best of the best to compete in an environment that we've never seen them compete in before, which is a very, very small, very, very elite field being tested to the limits of their exceedingly fit capacities.
Yeah, exactly. I think that moving to Aromas with only 5 athletes is going to be an interesting dynamic. And one thing that often gets overlooked is when somebody bombs a workout. When you bomb a workout with 20 athletes in a field or 40 athletes in a field, the effects are drastic. Now, maybe numerically they will be just as drastic, but if it depends on where they set the scoring bar. So, if you get like, 4th or 5th, you're 4th or 5th, and it depends on where they set the numbers. If you bomb a workout, essentially fail it in comparison to your peers. If there isn't enough of a separator, then it's going to make for an interesting weekend of competition because you're not going to have received as much scoring separation. I know we're getting a little bit far ahead of ourselves.
Just a little.
That's one thing that us prognosticators and pundits like to think about and make much to do over, even if it's not a big deal. But here's an interesting question for you. Any idea from HQ of some of the top 5 end up not being able to get to Rome's due to travel restrictions? Better question is how does CrossFit plan to handle the travel restrictions? I don't know if you've got any insight or want to weigh in on that one, but.
I've spoken to a couple of athletes, international athletes, who are confident they'll be able to make it. And the tough part, I think, for a lot of them is that they either have to quarantine when they get here. I think there's like a 10 or 14-day quarantine potentially when they get here.
Probably.
And or another 14-day quarantine when they leave.
They're a little less concerned with the leaving portion.
So I think the challenge for a lot of them doesn't necessarily come from getting into the country, because HQ has helped and facilitated visas with the State Department with athletes in the past, and the community is so broad and well connected that usually that sort of thing is resolved. But I think the tough part is going to be the actual logistics, because they're going to have to be in the States for a while before the competition kicks off. Yeah.
One piece of insight that I think is really telling in this situation, outside of Roman Krenikov, and Roman's unique situation since he's been denied a travel visa for the last 3 CrossFit Games that he's qualified for, arguably the fittest person to never compete on the competition floor. And it's awesome that he's going to get an opportunity to do that this time around, albeit a little bit different scenario, but still it's great to have him competing against his peers. He's earned his right to be there. Outside of Roman, though, everybody else, I feel really confident in actually arriving to California. And here's the reason why. So right before they made the announcement and the change to this online format, they'd actually secured invites, or excuse me, exemptions for athletes traveling internationally to travel under a professional athlete exemption. Rosa said that actually to us on one of our interviews that we did with him, and also another athlete competing over in Europe had confirmed that and said, yeah, we're kind of getting ready to rock and roll. And then they changed the format and went to this. But and they did that by reaching out to their contacts in government and looking at that and say, hey, yes, professional sport. There is a professional athlete exemption that exists for essential travel. And it was under that they were utilizing that and getting athletes squared away that way. Outside of Roman, I feel like there's any other athlete that's going to have an opportunity to do that. But they're going to have to show up literally 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks from Saturday. Athletes are going to have to be flying here. And that's kind of you think it's like, oh, wow, this is really far away. You're like, no, it ain't. They're going to have to come here and figure out how to train from the road and do that in and around California, where some gym areas are open, some gym areas are not. Either way, it's not their gym. And so they're dealing with different situations and scenarios. We don't know exactly how CrossFit's going to make all that happen yet, but that is a cause for consideration, though I think it's overhyped that athletes won't be able to make it. That's my opinion. I think it's overhyped. I think they will be able to make it, except for Roman, and I hope Roman does. And I know that CrossFit's going to try to do whatever they can to make sure Roman can get here and compete in person if he qualifies.
Absolutely.
So that's one question that always comes up that we've seen time and time again. So I don't know. There's lots of questions.
I don't know about Cara, her specific situation. Someone's mentioning that in Australia there are restrictions by government on leaving the country. I don't know anything about that. I haven't heard anything specific about that, but I think that athlete exemption, the professional athlete exemption that you're mentioning, is probably going to help.
Yeah, that's my guess. At one point I did know the answer to whether or not there was travel restrictions on Cara, and I believe there still are from Australia, but it changes so fast, and there are athletes competing for 15 different countries, so quite frankly I haven't memorized them all, but I know that at one point there were, and for a lot of countries there still are. To be fair, the way this works is by getting a professional athlete exemption. This is the way that this actually works. And to be clear, if I'm predicting, I'm going to say, yes, about half the field is going to be coming from outside of the United States, not including Tia Toomey.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I'm going to
put 5. 4, 5, 6. None of these numbers shock me. 8, yeah, that shocks me. 2, that definitely shocks me.
Yeah, if it's any less than 4, I would be very surprised, because that would mean that like multiple American women make it into the top 5, which would be, I guess, great, but also very surprising.
Yeah. The women's field is tough to because they are just the hitters there are so heavy. They are the women's field is stacked. You look at it and you're like, wow, that's a tough. But still, the foreigners. There's, I mean, I don't need to say it. They're very fit. Outside the United States. That's
they're very fit. I mean, there's a chance that like 30% of the qualifiers are Icelandic. So how's that for some math? Some real weird international math.
I mean, yeah, there you go. Any other major questions? Do you see a 500-pound front squat by anyone? No.
Sam Dancer is not competing at this year's CrossFit Games, guys.
Neither is Lasha Takazaki.
Yeah. Say his last name again.
I don't know how to say it right. Don't make me do this, okay? That's how
Talakadze.
But it's fine.
Just call him Lasha.
Lasha. Yeah, Lasha. Matty Rogers is not competing.
You're on a first name basis with the strongest man on earth.
I am. No, I mean, what could you see I could see a 300-pound front squat from a female.
I mean, Kara is that strong. He is that strong. It's if you look at like the I think it's possible. I think you'd probably say maybe 2 or 3 of the female athletes can potentially front squat 300 pounds if they're feeling like really, really riled up for it.
They back squat a majority of these athletes, the ones we're considering here in this top 5 arena, all squat over 300 pounds, back squatting.
They squat the mid 300s, low to mid 300s.
I mean, I think I just saw Kristin or O'Connell do like 305 or 315 for 2. That was a back squat.
I went back and I looked at the notable performances from these athletes in 19.5, 18.5 in Kara's example, as well as the back squat from the 2018 games. And there were a couple standouts, more standouts on the women's side than on the men's side. On the women's side, on the men's side, the only real standout in terms of being exceptionally good at both those things was Matt Fraser. There are a couple athletes that are really good at one or the other, but no one else was really good at both. But on the women's side, I mean, there were 3 or 4 women who squatted 310 plus and were able to be in the top 10 or 15 on 19.5. And you're really talking about, these athletes are going to be able to front squat 275, 285.
Yeah.
They're strong, man. They're really strong.
That also brings up a good question about tiebreakers as well, with something like this. Because, I wonder how deep the cluster is going to be and whether or not, if you get, if you get 3 athletes tying at second place and second place is worth 90 points, it's kind of a big deal. Like, I wonder how their tiebreakers or something, is going to play out for that. I could see a number of athletes, 3 or 4 athletes hitting 275. And what are the increments that you can hit? Because, 276, that certainly matters. 277, if you can do 1 pound adjustments, or 1 kilo adjustments. I know I'm fairly confident they're supposed to lift in pounds. But that has a little play. Are they going to force them to go up by 5s or 5s only or something like that? That could have a little factor in there, which, putting bigger jumps in there. So
the equipment list had fractional plates on it for a max, but the more I think the more important question isn't necessarily whether they have fractional plates, but like, how do you handle rounding when you get to kilos? If they do they round it up?
I thought they had lifting pounds though. But okay, again, these are some nuanced questions that.
I imagine one of the game's athletes has asked this question. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Last question here. Do we know how soon the athlete videos will be released? We'll do 2 questions. The answer to that is no. I think it's right when the leaderboard updates.
That's what it's
like. I assure you. I'd be kind of like guidance-wise, we told to expect them. We want to be able to use them for media purposes to be able to talk about workout performances and things like that. So we're very interested in the timing of release on those. But I've been told to expect them around the time that the leaderboard updates. The leaderboard will be updating right when the live shows start. So if you're looking for when to refresh on games or our website, that would be the time to do that, because that's when it's most likely to be updated. So, and then one last question is there a heavy rope on the equipment list, Armen?
Nope. There's no heavy rope on the equipment list. There's a jump rope, but there's no heavy rope on the equipment list. So
there you have it.
Unless there's some freaky shenanigans with the judges, and the judges have special equipment that they're bringing with them, and they're going to be able to like pull out a GoRuck bag or something. I don't know. That's very unlikely, but I guess that's within the realm of possibility.
Well, yeah, I suppose that is technically. But I don't think all of them are traveling from CrossFit HQ, since they're going to be utilizing individuals who are, number one, allowed to go into those countries, and number two, speak the common language of the
very important things.
Two very important things, especially if no and sounds a whole lot like stop in your language, native tongue. I don't know. I mean, as silly as it sounds, it kind of matters, and we've got Karen Frey, who's in Slovakia. I personally never spoke to her, so I don't know what her English is, but things like that matter. I mean, Gabi Magal is Poland. She speaks pretty good English. Roman doesn't speak very good English or any. So, yeah, I mean, I think those things are important for consideration. And it's not like you can just like drop a line to St. Petersburg and be like, hey, I'm just kind of coming in from the U.S. I don't really think you're allowed to do that right now. So,
yeah, I don't think that's in the cards.
Having been to Russia, I can assure you it is challenging to get there.
I don't think that's really happening for anybody.
No. So, anyways, Armen, thank you for joining me. We're going to be doing some fun tomorrow. We're hoping whatever the third workout is that gets released is a real happy compromise between your sedentary desire to just squat and my desire to hurt as much as possible. Be it as it may, we will come to a compromise here, and we will find something equally enjoyable and fun for us to do that involves you guys cheering us on or just making fun of us. Whichever it is entirely your call. But tomorrow, 1:30 p.m., live on Instagram, also live on YouTube, Armen and I are going to be taking on one of the CrossFit Games workouts as a fun way of getting the community involved, getting ourselves involved, certainly getting my butt off the couch or the chair, where I'm working, slaving away for your benefit. And
slaving away,
over caffeinating.
That one is a fact.
Yeah, that's a fact. But thank you guys for joining us. You got any other questions? It got released? Hold on. Somebody say, did something get released? Did they jump the gun? It's important for us to find out before we log off here.
That's a good question.
Somebody said it got released, because if it did, then, if you're a wrong person, I'm booting you from the live stream forever.
I don't see any other releases coming out.
Oh, there's no other releases. Somebody thought that we didn't know.
No, it's coming out in about 40 minutes.
It's coming out in about 40 minutes. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for the questions. Armen.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm going to crush you in some random workout tomorrow, Justin. Can't wait.
I know.
It's going to be like old times.
Milk jug lifts for time. All right, buddy.
All right. Thanks, dude.
We'll see you
later.